Can I firstly acknowledge the Gulkula people and really thank them for what's been a wonderful event, but also for welcoming us all again onto their land. And it's always an inspiring opportunity to see the work that they do, to hear about the wonderful things they're doing, but just to be here on this country. So really love to be part of Garma every year, and also to showcase some of the work we do within NIAA and more broadly even across the Commonwealth Government. And you might have seen we do have a stall over there where we are doing a lot of work with engaging with the community, but particularly with the young kids, and it's just fantastic to see them engaging with some of those, what would I say, that we've got dress-ups for them, which sounds simple, but what it is about saying to them, what do you want to be when you grow up, and thinking about what that future might be. So it's really exciting to see them putting on the astronaut's costume, or the doctor's costume, or the pilot's costume. And it's been, I think, a bit of a boon for our engagement, because it also enables us then to engage with other parts of the family as well. Look, I suppose I was going to talk about some of the things that NIAA is doing to empower First Nations communities through economic development. But I'd also just point out, and the Prime Minister did sort of make this point earlier today as well, is that it isn't just NIAA. What we do in the Commonwealth Government is work across all of the government departments about what are the opportunities that exist in all of their work. And you'll see that, you would have heard that in some of the comments that the Prime Minister made today. Obviously we have our own program areas as well, but I just would make that point, and I think the things that he mentioned today, like the mobile TAFEs for instance, the clean energy opportunities for instance, it is what we're doing right across government that is important. And I was just sitting next to the Secretary of Education, Commonwealth Education, who also mentioned, obviously, we're doing building a whole lot of childcare centres, and what are the opportunities there for community, what are the opportunities for Indigenous businesses in that space as well, and that every Secretary in every portfolio needs to look at those opportunities that exist in their own portfolios, not just in remote areas, but particularly in remote, as you would have heard, there is a particular focus there as well. So a couple of things we are doing is, and again you would have heard this, I feel like the Prime Minister stole all of my thunder, and he's also got my cold. So there is a real spread of disease going on in Canberra at the moment, and it's not why we all left, but it's probably not a bad reason. So one of the things we are doing is replacing CDP, which has been around for a long time and not always meeting the needs of communities or delivering the results. So it's been replaced in two different phases, one being the Remote Jobs and Economic Development Program, which we went out to for expressions of interest last year for the first round, and the second round in about February. That's closed as well now and is being assessed. So that's a $707 million program, and it's for real jobs in communities with real wages, but they are entry-level wages. It's for people who are unemployed and eligible for CDP to come through a program, learn skills, build confidence, build their CV, if you like, and then move into other existing jobs that might be in those communities. Now remember, that is remote focus. It has an extra component, which is the Community Business Fund as part of it as well, which is $185 million. That's part of that 707, and that's to enable those businesses and communities that might say, well, we actually to give those jobs, to actually have those jobs, we also need 5 vehicles, or we need somebody to learn how to be a baker and to build the bakery and have the bakery equipment, and some examples of things like just uniforms. So there is lots in that to actually help build that, so it's not just the job on the ground. So that's a really important element of it. As the PM said, already I think about 600 jobs and another 800 or so coming. It was 3,000 over the 3 years altogether, so we're on track for that. And has been really well received, because we did a lot of work in building that program, in the co-design of that program, in the consultation engagement with providers and communities over the last several years to get it to that point. Took a really long time. And I do think it's going to be a real game changer in communities because they decide what are the jobs that are important. And in fact, just last week I was out near Camberwell, which is right out west of Mount Isa, and they were really thrilled that I think they got something like 11 jobs in the first RGED round, and they got another 8 in the second RGED round. And they're already doing some great work, but these are people that they'll then train into some of these jobs of the future as well. So it is making a difference, and it is already out there on the ground, and we've been giving those messages for the second round already. The second part of replacing CDP is what's called the Remote Australia Employment Service, which is more your traditional CDP employment service, but with some new elements. One being the assessment of individuals' capacity to be employed, literacy and numeracy being included, some additional provider capability elements, and that it can be community projects that people are working on. And that was one of the big criticisms of CDP, that people couldn't do those sort of community projects that the old CDEP used to do. So it actually is a bit of a different program. It will start on the 1st of December, as you heard the Prime Minister say, and in addition to a 13-week and a 26-week payment, it's also now got a 52-week payment. So the idea is to keep people in employment. So those two elements go together to replace CDP. Now, is that true economic empowerment? It's jobs on the ground to build people's capability and to empower the communities to make decisions about what's important to them. So I think it's really a big part of that as well. But no one part is going to be the overall answer in this space. And so for NIAA, we've obviously been supporting the First Nations Economic Partnership between the government, the Alliance and the Coalition of Peaks, and those key couple of tangible things that the PM announced today, like the PBC Capability Building Fund of $75 million over 3 years is going to make a difference as well. We have a lot of PBCs. I think it's about 286 PBCs. They're not all equal. They're not all equal in need or in opportunity, but we need to build their capability to be involved in that economic future that they need to be part of, and for where those opportunities are. So that alliance, that economic partnership is going to be something that is new, and it is actually going to be a real change, both structural but also some other jobs, things that are in the sector and the eco sector as well. So they were a couple of things, again, the Prime Minister stole my thunder on, but that's happened. And then obviously we do things across other parts of the portfolio, like support for home ownership. And there's in the last budget some additional funds for home loans, so that was 70.9 million. Strengthening of the Indigenous procurement policy, which is really important because it's something that we've heard about a lot, is that it wasn't actually working for a lot of businesses and we needed to strengthen it. And I'll come back to what some of those changes were. But I'd also remind people that the Indigenous procurement policy has delivered about $11.8 billion across 4,400 businesses since about 2015, I think it is. So it's something that has made a difference. There is criticism of it. So some of those changes are things like the eligibility, that it has to be 51% or more First Nations owned and controlled, or registered with ORIC to access that now. And that's really to make sure that First Nations businesses are accessing the IPP to run their own businesses and exercise their rights as majority owners. And that new criteria starts next July 26. And we've also increasing the target for procurement for First Nations businesses right across the public service in all portfolios, with incremental increases from 0.25 each year to reach 4% by 29-30. So it's actually taking up that need for people to actually use, and government departments to use that procurement. in procurement. So that's another one that we've been really working through over the last couple of years and obviously done a lot of research around what actually works. I'd also mention things like ranges as a program because while you might not see that as pure economic empowerment, it is about individuals having jobs in the places that they want to work. So for a lot of people, it is out in the bush and on country, and doing that care for country is just so important and a really critical part of the fabric of remote communities. And again, doubling the amount of rangers over, I think it's by 2030. So again, we've just gone out for expressions of interest to expand that. We've done round 1, we're on round 2. The first round was about 1,000 extra rangers put in place across the country, with about 700 of those being female rangers. So really trying to expand into that space as well, and we know it's a really successful program overall. That's probably my 12 minutes gone, but I'm also happy to answer some questions at the end. I might just leave it at that for now. Thank you.